Please be seated. So nice to see you all here. Just now my idea is to have a very informal talk between the mother and the children, you can say. And for that, I was thinking of getting about 5-6 people from various countries to be seated here. And you all, hello, how are you? Good, nice to see you. To ask questions to them. And I want to watch what sort of questions you ask, what sort of answers you get. And of course, I'll be able to also answer some of the questions. And how to answer the question of a person who is not yet realized, is half baked, and how to handle the situation. We have to learn. That's very important. Because you have to know that negativity is in complete force all the time, and we have to face the negative ideas, negative people, negative plans. And when they plan, it is necessary, please come, all of you. It is necessary for all the Sahajayogis that they should be equipped to move forward.
Come forward.
They should be so equipped that they should be able to face these sometimes can be very like that. We who are seekers for the seeking, who have been doing lots of mistakes, who are already conditioned with problems, and not easy. That kind of confrontation you get. And also you get some funny sort of people who are in Sahaja Yoga for some time and somehow they cannot manage to get up. Very low-graded people, I should say. And you really get disgusted with them. That's the second style of people. Because God's work today is to save as many as possible. That's the work we have to do. There are all kinds of mental projections and hands up and all that. And the first thing they do to attack is a question. Then there are suggestions. Then there can be actual fighting. I had such a one very recently, which I must tell you, the most interesting one. That's Peggy. And you know Peggy, how she is. Nobody need worry about her. The kind of a quality she is. We have told her that we don't want her anymore. In Sahaja Yoga, we do not ask people to come. They come to us. We don't force them. And if they are hopelessly bad, then we say, all right, we have had enough of it now, please forgive us. And they get out of Sahaja. Mostly, this is how we work out. Because we have to choose. You see, that's what we have to do with people. Because there can be very high quality people. And there can be very cheap type of people. Peggy, everybody knows, has been with us for 5-6 years, and she has been to horrible places, and One type of a personality, I don't know. If God has made her, I don't know how He's made her that way. She's been to all kinds of wrong stuffs, absolutely horrible things, filthy, dirty. She has been a married woman with 3 children who are real issues. And our interest was in her about her children because we knew about her, but her children were very good. And when she came to me, I told her, let's say we can't do much about you, I'm sorry, but in a way, but you have to work hard if you are willing to cooperate. Oh, I'm willing to cooperate, whatever you say, I'm willing to. Then I discovered that she was actually ill-treating her husband, ill-treating the children. And every time I tried to raise her Kundalini, it was a big laboring thing. I mean, it's really hard work with such people. I used to say, oh God, next time I hope I don't see her face somehow. It's too much. And the whole attention goes to something so nonsensical and useless person. I mean, in that time you can give realization to so many people. And she would attract the sympathy of some here and there. Then ultimately, I raised up in Kundalini thrice and I told her, God, trust your realization. But you have to now promise me that you will not ill-treat your husband and not ill-treat your children. She said, Mother, you have to promise me that my realization will be established. I said, all right, promise. But you must promise me this. Starting that time. Imagine to be ill-treating your own husband and your own children. I mean, I have got sufficient time to be with my children, to express my love. And here is a person sitting down quietly with 3 children and just thinking how to torture. A very difficult case I felt with this woman. Very fond of living like a ladylike personality, this, that. But she couldn't do that. Every time her Kundalini fell down. You see, she used to think she's obliging me all the time. That's her funny stuff. And she thought that I have promised her and how is it not established? And then I think people told her that you better not come to Sahaja Yoga. She stopped the children, she never brought them. They said, all right. But you see, negativity is such that they know they have no personality otherwise. Without Sahaja Yoga, what is their personality? They are nothing. So she tried to assert herself all the time, and this time she appeared when we had gone, and she just came by herself. I never called her, nor Rita asked her to come, but she was just there. And I asked Rita, how is she here? She said, Mother, she's here because she said, you told her. I said, I? She said, yes, you in her head told her. I am neither in her heart nor in her head. What am I going to tell her? So she came. Now I found Rita had a weakness for this lady. So something was to be done. Because I wanted to save Rita. My foot went absolutely crazy. I told Gavi. But divine has its own methods. And she suddenly got exposed. And Rita was shocked the way she was. Because she just started fighting it, absolutely fighting. So rude and so shameless. Rita couldn't believe her eyes. So I was very happy in a way. She said, God's finished, this book is over. Because she was always pestering me, and I told her that if Mother doesn't want and if it is not allowed, how can I do it? And she always used to say, do this, do that. Now why I am telling you this story is that when she went to India, everybody resisted her, and in India, you see, Sahaja community, people are very highly developed Sahajayogis, and she was literally frightened of them because she was quite aware of her nonsense that she was up and her cunning and all that. And it came up to this point, the way she behaved there and the way she created scenes and things and all sorts of nonsense. But they said, we are going to book her back. She has to come back. When you throw her in the sea, Mother, we can't have her. Now, the main thing, we have to understand that how much time do we spend with these people? We must learn how much, we must judge the depth of a seeker. That's very important because we haven't got time to waste much. And if you don't get anybody in England anymore, let's go to India. If not India, let's go to China. We have to gather human beings. We are not bothered to what country they belong. You have to weigh, first of all, equality. And you will find, you'll be amazed, those people who you think to be very much qualified, you'll find them useless people. And the divine will not help you. The best part of it, the divine will not help you. It will be angry with you for wasting your time on such a person. And as you'll be growing, you will develop this discrimination within yourself and you will understand. You will not waste your energy with someone like that. All this idea of being kind to everyone is not for us. We have to be kind to ourselves and to God. And all such useless people have to go out of the circulation of evolution. Absolutely, there's no doubt. And this is what I want to tell you, that today I want you to ask the questions. That's important. And when you ask the questions, I'll see how you answer. Now, to be positive, a person has to see how the question is asked and how it is answered. It's not a question of your mind, it's a question of spirituality. The question is from spirituality to spirituality. It's not from one mind to another mind. And I would like to see that, how it works out in Sahaja Yoga. Because I know you are people of very high quality, and that's how I know all this great work is being done. In one day, I see people have come up so much. They have come up so much, they have gone so much up, and they have done so much. But there are some who are struggling and they cannot come. Some people don't feel vibration, doesn't matter. You don't feel vibrations constantly. Maybe some physical problem is there, some sort of a problem is there. But the main thing is the attitude of a person is important. And negative people are there to take our time, to divert our attention. They'll go into tantrums, they'll show off, they'll do this, they'll do that, and they'll try to divert our attention to that. Attention from the spirit, attention from our ascent, attention from our work, that is so important, the emancipation of the whole humanity. So we must understand that our lives are valuable lives. We are Sahajogis. We are workers of God. Our Kundalini has arisen. We are realized souls of a very high quality, and we have not to waste our energy with people who do not deserve our attention. That's very important between you and me. I'm telling you this too. It's alright what I do. It's different. I play quite a lot of things with that. And I see to it that they get out. But you please don't waste your energy. If you find somebody difficult, funny, better give up that. Now with this idea, we'll have about one person from every country. We'll sit down here and I would like to see you. And you should all ask questions. Questions, not material, but about Kundalini, about what answer to be given. Because now as you are all going in the fields, you know people ask you questions and what questions they ask and how to answer these questions, so we can sort it out just now. Because sometimes they can be so aggressive that you can be just dumbfounded. But as I said, after a certain time, you should just give them up as lost. It's not our responsibility to give realization to everyone. It's not our. It's only those who deserve it. It's the deserving quality of people that's important. If they are not deserving, we are not interested in them. We are sufficient already. Better, I always say that those people who are to enter into the kingdom of God should only enter, and not every dick, Tom and Harry. It's important. So those people who cause problems, just do it because to attract our attention. And Sahaja Yoga, as it is very different from other so-called organizations of God. Here the genuineness is judged by vibrations and by attitude of yours. You have to be extremely positive. I've seen even some cancer patients who came to Sahaja Yoga are so very positive, surprised. And some people, for nothing at all, they're wasting your time and energy. So the interest should be for the people who are of quality and not for people who are just wasting our time and energy. It's a kind of an ego within us that I think that we try to correct people who are good for nothing. Think about it. It's alright, they are hard nuts. Why should we break our teeth for that? This is what I want to tell you. After this experience now, Rita has taken a vow that she'll have nothing to do with pegging. She always used to peg her down to me every time. Rita used to telephone to me about her. She used to tell me, Mother, please look after her. All the Sahajogis are angry. Especially, she said, people have told her off and she cannot come to the program. And that's how it was. So thank God now she's corrected. I tried my own ways. But you can directly understand and you know that. You know in your heart who is settled, who is not settled. You know it very well about everyone. You are quite capable. But if you try to be extremely now, let it be, it's alright, they are no good. They can never come up. So why waste your energy? Simple thing is that if whether you are good or bad or if you are hard to them, they are just the same. As such, you need to realize our position. The work is very important. It's not we are here for England or America or for China. We are for the whole. Wherever we get people of that quality, we are going to collect and decamp. Alright? Now, so I would say that we get some people here, like from every country that you be there.
Well, maybe Brian could come first.
Brian also. No, Brian should ask questions first of all. Then I'll keep you down in this place and Alright, then Devi Nirmala from England. You have to answer. Everybody has to answer because it's a one after. Then I think Shri can come from America. Mari can come from France. Marina, you come from Switzerland. Alright. Now nobody is higher or low. See, they ask questions that have to be asked. Need not be answered. It cannot be answered, one should not. But any one of you can answer the question. Answer. Now there are so many intelligent and intellectuals and over-educated people sitting here. The ones who have to ask the question are always better placed than the people who have to answer. Right? So, in a way, I would like to see how the questions are asked and what answer is given. I would like to see the game. Alright.
Cup of tea. Could one of the ladies get Mother a cup of tea?
Yesterday's speech was really yes, come on. Now, there are great intellectuals listening. Be careful, alright. So we are very friendly and nice. Who else from which countries? Yes, Spain.
Spain, Robert's from Belgium.
Is it there, Robert? See? Oh, great, come along. So happy to know what you have done. Really remarkable. I must really say. Robert, I really say, what a man. From where he came and how he shot out. Remember him? Brahma pardons? I'm very proud.
My ego didn't allow me to go into that.
That's it. So ego is the same one. That should be the right type of ego. that ego is a better type when you question the wrong type of person. But that ego which questions the right type of person is a stupid ego. Because it has no sense, it has no wisdom. But you see, for me to come, it's hell that is to come out of hell. He's sickening, he sickens people. I've heard most of the people whom I know who are thinking about, say, in the beginning of it, they are lived in mental asylum, most of them. Or down with cancer, another thing on the street. Those now they are, at least for years now, down with cancer.
I saw pictures of him, recent pictures, and he wears
Gloves?
yes, he wears now gloves. And a big woolen, I don't know. I think he's freezing. He started to. But I had to vomit from these pictures.
They did not die because otherwise it will be more troublesome. So, alright, now, so please make yourself comfortable. Now you sit down. Now, most of the people who are real surgeons should ask questions and not those who are yet to be confirmed as surgeons. Alright? Because they still, I know, they have to reach a certain stage of understanding. Alright, from surgery zone. Don't become thoughtless here.
Not mind to mind.
Alright, not mind to mind. Alright. But let the inspiration come. But it will be only communicated through a thought. Well, in every day-to-day life, when you have been facing other people in Sahajayoga, you should ask questions about that. What happened? What questions they asked? What was the problem? So for this, why I'm taking up to do that. Alright? Because, you see, this, now you should say it there. Would be nice expressions. Alright? 3 on this side and 3 on the exam, the 7th one. Let's have it now. That's it. That's a good idea. Now come along. Yes, Dave?
What would you say to somebody who comes up to you and says very concernedly, what is the difference between Sahaja Yoga and these?
What is it?
What is the difference between what you're doing and what these cults or these other gurus are doing? They all seem to say the same thing. I mean, they do.
They are using the same language.
Using the same language.
You see, because in 1970 I was in America, they have picked up everything. And a gentleman told me, warned me. He told me, Mother, you better get all your tapes. What do you call them? Copyrights. See? I said, why? He said, no, these audio words, vibrations, they started being used by these people, chakras, and
Yeah.
it's very good. But ultimately they have to come to this realization. But they're using the same. And it doesn't matter. Now, tell me, what's the difference between the technique of Sahajayoga and the technique of these people? They use the same words. Now let's have one person who wanted.
Well, the basic difference, I feel, Mother, is that in Sahaja Yoga,
it's not the promise of an experience, it's the actualization. Something actually happens in the presence of Mataji or other realized souls, and you get it.
But they also get experiences.
They get an experience.
They get experience.
Now, now let's see.
One thing that you can explain is whether they keep the freedom of the individual, or whether the individual is actually maneuvered. And you can explain.
That originally for mesmerized, you do not are mesmerized.
Yeah, if you're inside, you don't know. But if you look from outside and you're asking, you can ask the people to see, how does it work? Do you feel that these people are free in what they're doing? Do you feel that they're doing it of their own free will? Do they look like individuals? If you go there, are you taught to think for yourself? And is it something where your freedom is respected? Because a lot of the other ones, you can explain that to people, is that people are taken in charge, and they're taken in charge morning till evening, and even during the night. They're never left alone, and they do this, do that, sing and pray and do whatever, and it never stops. And they're actually made to fit into a mold. Once they're nicely shaped, they can't get out of it.
I mean, they don't understand what they are doing.
Eventually they don't. They're fitted into something, and it's some weakness from the left side which makes them want to be led. And it's something that you still find inside yogis. If you look carefully in yourself, we've all still got that. And we've all got to be careful of it. Because it's still there, this tendency to want to fit into an organization. Be a something, tag. And not be who you are. And go through with it. Go look at yourself and go through with it. And that's the way it works. People are told that you know, it's going to be nice and all this and all that. But basically they're taken in charge. And then they don't think for themselves. And the language, yes, is correct, but you have to see the results. If you want facts, there's plenty of facts, and there's people who've got files, I mean, wall full of files on what happens to people who are in there, and what state they're in if you manage to get them out if ever. And that's where the difference is.
It's very vague, you know. It's not very different. It's rather vague, I should say. All right, let's see. What question you have to say?
There are another 2 points that we usually make. One is that you can't pay for it, and you don't pay for it. And this is especially comes up in America because there people are used to paying for absolutely everything. You go to this introduction or that introduction, $5 right away. It's not like over here. So that's something that attracts a lot of people if they're used to paying for things, if they're, you know, if this is the sort of way over there, and you say you cannot pay for it, we won't accept payment. In fact, it would be somewhat of an insult because it's your own birthright.
But that's the gross. But what happens in the subtle?
Subtly,
The subtle way.
suddenly the Kundalini is aware. And the great thing about that is that you become collectively conscious, which is something that can't be faked. You cannot fake collective consciousness. And it's very simple. You can give an example. If you blindfold several children and you have them who are realized, and you have them try the vibrations of somebody, they'll all feel the same thing. And children don't fake, and everybody knows that. If they try the vibrations of somebody else, they'll feel something different. So this is an important distinction to make.
Now let's have your answer, Devi. She's covered quite, I think she's covered quite right in this.
I think the most important thing about Sahaja Yoga is not what experience it gives you. I mean, that you get. But what you have to tell people who ask what's the difference is what do the disciples become, what powers do they get, and what experience can they give to other people. Because without the capacity to enlighten others, who is to say whether they've got any enlightenment at all? So this is the
an
guideline.
identity. Now what about like
Maybe another point also, if Sahaja Yoga is the truth is eternal. So you must also be able to relate it with all the scripture, to know who Christ was, to know who Muhammad, who Buddha was. And nobody can tell you in this group and make relationship where they are in, how you can invite them to you. And not only about the great prophet, but also even with everything, nature, music, science, astrology, everything is related to Sahaja Yoga because it's the synthesis of everything. And we can even see this. Everything is part of it.
what do you have to say?
What Gavin said, that in other sects they don't get real powers. Actually, I experience that they get powers. They can put boots in. Yes, absolutely. But what can we say then? Use your common sense. Go and see in these sects. I don't know if it's intelligent to say that to seekers. I experienced a tremendous destroying force because when I met Mother, first of all, I got on my stomach something coming out, dirt coming out, in the skin. That was a proof that negativity came out, that something happened, that something really happened in me. Actually, I had not such a proof in these things. I only got into their catastrophical thing.
But you're not a long time, Devi.
I was not so long, 5 months. So I felt also another thing, the fact that Mother is so elusive for seekers. That's good. The fact that Mother is doesn't possess really, because I was so greedy. I remember the first time I met you. It was great. The second program, you didn't look at me.
You're very clever.
You are very clever.
Only Mother made the
So
sun
where
come
does
out.
the cleverness comes then, huh? All right. Now, after all this thing, I would like one of you to answer this question. Anyone? Let's have Nirmala, come on. Let's have your hand. Roxana, let's see. Come up here, then. Yeah.
Well, I think the point Gavin brought up is relevant. But what you can tell them is, if you get a power, if it's boots, all right, it makes you feel powerful. But in Sahaja Yoga, you can actually raise other people's kundalini. And you can empower them with the ability to raise kundalini. For instance, for me, the proof was I stood behind some new person. I just told him, sit in front of this photograph. I didn't explain anything. I stood behind him and I started moving as Mother had showed us. in Gavin's heart. And things started happening to him, and he began to feel within him things happening, and he felt his Kundalini rising, and he began to feel the joy. And I think that is the most important thing, that you can transmit this awakening to other people and raise their Kundalini, rather than just feeling a power in you, something which could be boots. And I don't know if boots can do that.
All right. Thank you very much. Now, you see, always the artificial has to copy the real. It's always so. Artificial has to copy the real, otherwise it won't stand. Of course, outwardly in the gross we can say that artificial can say the real is continuous. Artificial can put up a show, the real does not. The artificial is more earnest because it has to sell, while the real is least bothered, as he said about me. Is correct. But beyond that, how to make out an artificial from the real is the problem, because they have the same style of thing, and these people say that we are doing the same thing, we are having vibrations, we have energy, we are raising the Kundalini, everything is. Now the best thing would be to be extremely practical in this. First of all, you must judge whether they are seekers or not. Then you should see what chakras are catching. See, you move on another line. They move on another line because you are empowered. So you just see what chakras are catching on them. If you answer them directly, they will come out with another answer. So when they say something to you, you must know that if they are groups and they are possessed and they know your groups also, not only that, but they can read your mind. That's one of the powers of group. Because they can live on mental level, they can live on the physical level, they can live on other levels like see whatever past you have had, they can tell you your future. They can have to go up to that. They can tell about your future, they can tell you about past, they can tell you about your mental problems, your brother, father. They may even tell you where you have lost your properties or where you have kept your ornaments and who is the thief. All these things they can tell. Because their interest is material, so they know everything about it and they can tell you. Now you are facing a person like that. So he reads your mind. Alright. So when you confront such a person, to deal with a person is to just get quiet, get into your thoughtless awareness. Your fortress is your thoughtless awareness because you are real. And try to see his Kundalini. Try to raise it. And see where it stops. Now, he says, why don't you answer? He said, I'm still, let me hear it. I have to hear it. Alright. Show all the patience. Now, try to raise it. Now, if the Kundalini is absolutely useless, doesn't rise, you should say, alright, I'll give up. Finish. Nothing more. Our real nature, as he said, illusion. There is a word for the goddess, Nirmala. She doesn't get attached to anyone. She cannot. If she is the energy for the whole universe, how can she get attached to anyone, any person? Only she can nourish. And the nourishment can only go if the person is willing to take the nourishment. You are on the giving stage, you are not on the taking stage. If the another person doesn't want to have it, you can't open the mouth and pour it. So, when such a question comes in, you just get into your meditative mood. And you'll be amazed the dynamism of the spirit will be at that time. Now maybe it stops at Nabi. Supposing the question at Nabi stops, right? So, you know he has a liver patient. Right? You can ask him questions about liver. You'll be amazed that you know that he has a liver patient. It stops at right heart. You just ask him the question about the right heart. You just tell me these things, then I'll tell you what is it. Like I tell you Douglas. Douglas is not such an intellectual, thank God. And David Prowse, he just saw my photograph went into contortions. And he telephoned in the ashram and Douglas received it. He said, who are you? He said, I'm Douglas, I'm a Sahajayoga. Really, what this Sahajayoga is? He said, by the way, are you perspiring too much? He said, yes, I'm boiling talking to you. He said, that's it. Have you been to Tia? He said, yes. How do you know? I know because the chakras are catching. He said, surprising. These people out there. Then he told me he came home and Rustam opened the book. I think he took my name or I think he took the name of the goddess or whatever it is. And he just went into contortions again. He said, what have you started? And actually, he got frightened, Rustam, and he telephoned to me, Mother, what's happening to you? I just did what's your name. So your powers are divine powers. Never forget that. On arguments, then once you have given them realization, then start your arguments. But you can do it with your attention. You give them realization and then the arguments can be given. Because when I am discussing with them, actually I am raising their ego. Outwardly I am discussing. Yes, everybody thinks mother is talking with them. But sometimes, but I am really raising their kundalini inside. So, first of all, try to raise their kundalini because that is what. Now you know for definite what is the difference between the real and the unreal. That unreal is that a myth that this is a snake, is a myth. But when the light comes in, you know it is not. And the light has come in. Even small children, as they said, they know. You have got your own powers, no doubt about it. You can raise your kundalini, no doubt about it. You can raise others' kundalini, no doubt. You can cure people, no doubt. For that, if you have to give example, I have cured. Even that may not satisfy me. Then, coming to the mental side of it, how you have achieved, you have given up all your habits and you have become a better person. While people who belong to another cult, they do not give up any habits. On the contrary, they become just slaves. Just slaves. They are not independent. As she said, that they are not individuals. They become all slaves together and they behave. Collectivity to them is just slavery. Apart from that, your knowledge is tremendous. You know why you do puja, you know why you make mantras, you know what mantras to say, when to say, how to raise it, and the whole science. Even their guru's guru would never do the science and all the technique, Nirmala will tell you. So, all the points that they said that you have your own powers, you can ask them, can you feel me? Yes, they are feeling very hot. That's all. But you should say, I am feeling you. You have been to such and such guru. Then your power to give him realization. Also, later on can be told and show how to give realization. You should say, now you try to give me realization. You say, alright, you give me realization. It's like, alright, I will give it. Will you allow me? Supposing he accepts this. Finished, then he's finished now. Once he's realized, then he won't talk. So you have to be very understanding of the situation, that first of all, you are a realized soul, you have your own power, the whole divine is behind you. With all confidence, just face the person. First go into meditative mood, gather upon your powers. And see that you raise his good. Bring him to some point of rapport. Then these points, one by one, as may be suggested, which they have suggested are already. But before raising them, discussion will lead to discussion. And it's a headache. I just do it because I don't get a headache. But you people don't do it. Have nothing to do with the people who cannot be brought to a certain level of understanding. And they themselves will be impressed by your personality, by your methods. In your quiet way, you should say, what's this? Like that. You won't say yes, yes. So you think that he's impressing you, also you are listening to him. That also pleases them quite Then now, shall I let me see where is the Kundalini, let me see. See more around him. Alright, now say what you want to say. I will see, I want to hear. And at the back, raise it. Because if you cannot take out something in straightforward ways, you have to put your finger in a roundabout way to take it out. Even then, if the Kundalini doesn't want to rise, we have nothing to do with such horrible people. So, first of all, you must test the other person, raise his Kundalini, work it out. And then, once he has got it, then do that. Alright, Ray? You know the technique. Second question. So, everyone, whatever they have said, correct and first class, as he has said it, Warren is very correct. And all these points must be brought in. But when you have brought them to a certain level at the start, otherwise they will be just nodding their heads or they will be denied. Both are useless. Because definitely you know your knowledge. Now, second question.
Mother, you were saying that people who don't accept their realization, you should learn not to bother with them. How do you relate to people around you who are in their everyday life loving and caring, nice people, but who just don't understand and don't accept, and your family who you love?
I can't hear us about
How do you relate to those closely around you who don't accept realization? How do you...
But they're not negative.
But who are not negative. But who just simply don't understand the whole process.
People,
it's not of your level. No? But as a person who is higher than others, you should be patronized. And you should know they are still blind, they are ignorant, they haven't got the knowledge. Alright, they will get it. Keep it like that, position like that. Gradually it will come. There is no need to talk of Sahaja Yoga with those people. But in your life or in your way of life, they will understand. Gradually they come. Maybe they are inadequate, perhaps maybe. Or maybe they are not seekers. Or maybe the time has not yet come. You cannot force it out. My own daughters are not realized. I'm not good. They know I'm something sweet, no doubt about it. And they think they are incapable of it. Alright, whatever it is, let them think what they like. It's alright, I'm having a normal life with them. But your own life is convinced that you're right. And they might start respecting you very much. And after some time, not only respecting you, but listening to you, and then accepting Sahaja. There should be no quarrel. Sahaja Yoga is the most precious thing you cannot waste it. You cannot. Like I said, don't throw your pearls before the horrible people. That's what it is. But those people who are around are there. These are your brothers and sisters. These people. Yes, they are there. It's all right. They'll also get your language. But they can't speak your language. You may love them. Supposing we have a dog in the family. I'm not saying that dogs, but what I'm meaning is, suppose we have a dog which doesn't have a human awareness. We love the dog very much. No doubt, we look after the dog, alright. But we don't talk to him. We don't expect him to talk like us. So the awareness is at that level. On the contrary, we have to be very patronizing and extremely kind. Alright? Now, can you answer this question a little elaborately? We should start it now. You see, some people who had horrible experiences with the people who are around. So I would like to request first of all.
Well, I think we had one example this weekend at Robert's home. His parents have gained their realization, in fact.
Really?
And yet,
From you?
from you in
Yes.
in Peel.
Yes, I know.
Absolutely sweet people, absolutely balanced people in the sense in which society sees it as a whole, and yet they can't see the depth that Robert can see, and they treat it a little patronizingly, and there, it'll be all right. You do it your way, and we'll do it our way. You know. Meanwhile, they have their cigarettes and they entertain their guests and they have their lifestyle. But Robert's determination was to set the example, to transform, to let them see by his transformation that Sahaja Yoga is it. When we were there, they behaved like they became disturbed by the tranquility that he was. They started rushing around and shouting and giving orders and a few things, and then slowly they could see what was happening, and they started to look at themselves almost. And there was a little microcosm of the transformation actually over that weekend when we were there. You can do it by transformation. And people start to watch, and then instead of running around in circles getting nowhere, they start to say, aha, this is something great.
Very true. You can say Christian. Very difficult question.
Well, there's certainly no point in arguing about it, or trying to discuss about Sahaja Yoga beyond if anybody asks, you can say how much good it's done to you, how much you've transformed. You can say many things if people are interested. And if they're not, you just live with them, you just be yourself, you enjoy yourself, and they see you enjoying yourself much more than they're enjoying themselves. And they think, what's going on here? And they might become a little bit curious, but if they don't, it doesn't matter either. I mean, really, unless somebody is seeking, unless they're asking for it, then all we can do is be there. You know, just go about our business, do what has to be done, and be perfectly normal.
And I'll go a little further. If you try to take interest in anyone like that, you'll have very bad experiences.
Oh yes.
Never good. Okay?
Yes.
Yes, it's never to try, because then you really get caught up.
All right, now, so another question.
Can I turn the question round, or the same sort of question?
I can't stand up.
Sorry. My sister, myself, and Christopher, her husband, went to see my parents the other week, and they had rather horrible experience with them, which they just went absolutely crazy, you know. And I was wondering, what do you do in that situation? Because when they weren't even, I mean, you can't even get a word in, you know. All you can do is sit there. What would you do in that situation? Because I just don't know. What they've fathered them, and now they're damaging themselves, you know.
That's it. Back, I tell you, back.
What's that, parents?
How did you help me? That's why I'm looking for so many days.
Well, I've had quite a lot of problems with my parents. To begin with, we were very keen to convert them, you know, my sister and and we just, in our first enthusiasm, we just got carried away and we said too much too soon. You know, we just, in fact, it nearly worked because we were so enthusiastic. My father got realization, he gave up drinking, and he started saying that the Catholic Church had never really satisfied him and all this, and my mother panicked and banned any more discussion, and he gave up and went back to drinking, and she was very happy. But we still didn't give up hope. The problem was we tended to get over-involved, I think. And we got, you can get obsessed with it, you know, because you're so close to them. And in the end, I was just getting very, very upset because the situation I had, my son was staying with my parents, and my father was behaving bad. He was taking it out on Kevin, and I was getting, you know, really upset because I was trying to be nice to him all the time, and inside I was getting furious. And in the end, one day I was so upset because he'd been beating Kevin, shouting at Kevin just for being alive, you know. And Mother said, "Look, this is ridiculous. Just go and teach him a lesson. Go and get rid of his drink." So I went home and got hold of his bottle of whiskey and poured them down the sink. But they were absolutely horrified. But it made the break, you know. Afterwards, my father said he quite respected me for what I'd done. He didn't really know why. But since then, you know, I've been more detached. So that's it, really.
But you see, first, if you had asked him this about 4 years back, he was very serious and he used to feel it too much, you see, my father, every time he used to say, "Mother, see my father again." God says, my mother is like that, Maureen will be also upset, would come out with such an expression, it's absolutely disgusting. But now, you see they are taking it very easy. I mean, it's a joke for them now. It's nothing so disgusting or sort of so compelling that they feel that realization is useless because their father is drinking. You see, your relationship is with God. Okay? And those who are related to God are in your relations with you. Others are just by the way they are there, alright. But then they started enjoying them, they never were so upset as they were before. This is what happens as you start going.
There's also a very subtle ego sometimes involved, because if we can't change them,
that's true, it's true.
we get a bit upset, and that's translated into a sort of caring attitude, which of course is very false.
The thing is, man, if we haven't spoken to our parents or told them about Sahaja Yoga, yet they immediately condemn you, and every time you walk through the door, they scream at you and shout at you, and you're trying to love them. And that's all you're doing. I mean, I'm not trying to draw them into Sahaja Yoga or anything. It's just they scream at us for no reason. It's crazy.
Witnesses.
Ask them what's wrong with them. They shouldn't shout, it's bad for their throat, it's bad for their stomach.
No, but you see, it is also sometimes maybe the moods. So reacts like that.
Yes.
So, John will tell you there was a fellow who was running, your friend John, who was running that food store or something, and he went with him in the car, who was a Rakta Bija's disciple. You remember he went amok?
Yes, Mother.
And poor John, he wanted to jump out of the car because he just went amok. His presence just went amok. Now, so what's the next question?
I'd like to ask one more. Even during, been realized, I guess, 10.5 months, and in myself, I feel it's been quite a transformation. Perhaps I'm not quite as confident as I could be just yet, but I've noticed that my mother, for instance, would like to come and meet you. Even the person I was in therapy with, I'll probably give that up soon. It's not necessary. I feel like she's been quite interested, and a friend of mine, I used to be in the overeating thing that was going away, but a friend of mine is interested in seeing you. So I have been having an effect on people. But sometimes, and a very sincere seeker, my mother's friend, I gave her your pictures. She's very sincere. Sometimes I'm not sure exactly how to talk about it, how to initiate it, how to bring it up. And yet I know that they're all of these people are really seeking. They're not low quality people. Sometimes I feel instead of offering it, I'm forcing it down their throats. And I would like to have them come to the center where I feel they can meet some of the older people. My parents, for instance, although they profess to be against this, they've been very sweet. They've helped me to come here. They have an attraction to it. They've been, despite what they say, they've been helping me. I guess because they see that we're the change.
Well, you should not be involved. The point is, whatever is desire is good, but you should not get involved with that desire. The desire is a good idea. Because it should work out. After all, that you are near and dear, you can influence them the most. It will work out also. But if you think that you can get involved in it, either you will pay to ego or you. So you should not get involved with people who are not themselves here. That's the point. What else?
One question which always comes up is about you, Mother. They'll turn around and say, well, I'm experiencing this But who is this Mataji who's gauging his experience? And it's always difficult to know.
No, better not talk about me for the time being. You see, whether you talk about me or not makes no difference, isn't it? Let them come. Gradually themselves they will know. You should see, must be someone. That's all. Now you better guess. You leave it to them. You need not say anything to them. That's one thing I've warned always from the very beginning. It is too much to bear for people. See, you should say there must be something about her. We don't know. But it is true. Because, you see, if you tell them that I am such and such, either they will be finished, fear, or they will be on top of us. See? So best thing is not to tell. These things are not to be told. That's what I've told you, that in this lifetime I've decided not to talk about it to anyone till they are realized souls well settled. Even in that book you have written that Sahasrara is H.S. Mataji Nirmala Devi. Please do not write. To write there, Adi Shakti. That's better. Because after all, I know that one should not worry about all these things, because this I am telling the deities, you see. And that one should tell it, and I must say what is the truth is and all that, and I should not waste time. I understand that. Why I am saying is that these people are very delicately placed, they are ignorant, and just because of this, if they are going to be chatted, it's better not to tell them. So for puja also, we do not have all of them there. Very few people should be allowed to come to puja. All half-baked people should be really kept away. They should not be told what I am. Nothing of the kind. In Gregor's book, that's the mistake committed, I think. Because he put Rajesh there and said that Rajesh said so and so. And I couldn't take it. There's no need to say. By saying that, what do you achieve? Or what do I achieve? Whatever I am,
But Mother, you achieved a lot that night. You said very scoldingly to that question, "You've got to recognize me." And that achieved a tremendous...
When did I say that?
At Hampstead.
Huh?
At Hampstead.
Caxton Hall.
Caxton Hall, sorry, I beg your pardon. Yes. And that blasted them up.
Yes, but you see, I weigh the timing properly.
Yes.
At the right time I say,
Of course.
yes. But you may make a mistake that time. So I would say that better avoid saying about me.
You said it anyway, Mother, it wasn't us saying.
See, that was for the first time I might have said in that way. But you see, most of them were surgeries. There were very few people who must have come, new people. Then I have to say that. But normally, you should not say. Though, it's true. Very true. This is the only condition you have. If you cannot recognize me, nothing can work. It's perfectly true. I agree, I accept. It's fact. That's what they have put it up. That has to be. Now I'll tell you, say this lady, she was there, begging. And my foot, you see, just like this, it was so painful, I couldn't put it on the ground. Both, but especially this one. I asked Kavin, I said, I don't know what's happening with this peggy here, now this foot won't allow me even to stand. It would not. All the deities were angry. And they were just going down and on, emitting such vibrations, tremendous vibrations. I didn't ask Kavin to take out some vibrations, soothe them, we soothe them. See, they don't listen. He told me that, Mother, I just put your photograph in this village. And the whole place was flooded by the river. And the river washed all our bedrooms, bathrooms, everything. 3 inches water came in. It washed all of us. The people who were doing fraud or something were caught up and all kinds of things happened. In those 3 weeks only, she said there was a real spring clean. She told me this. But this you need not tell others. See, because they don't understand these things. So no use telling them. You see, those who do not understand what's of talking to them. I'm wasting their energy. It's unnecessary, I take it. It has no meaning. Believe it.
So there's a general point, Mother, that when people first get realization, they're full of enthusiasm, but it can only express itself through the old channels. So they want to talk about you, and they want those who are close to them to come to Sahajayoga or to become, accept them in their new place, in their new style. But they don't have the capacity to achieve this using the vibrations, because that capacity hasn't yet developed. And so this is why so many of us had trouble at first, of integrating our new experience into our old life without staying in our old lifestyle ourselves. So I think when people get these urges to rush out and convert everybody, they have to question where that is coming from within themselves. But in a way, it may be a subtle.
I mean, that also should be judged. Because in this country, I told you, ego is in front of the knowledge, like that. You have to be very careful.
So when we know you, we understand how many forms you can take.
That's it.
And then we have to ask you to do the job, and it works.
No, I know you have asked many people, I've known that you ask them that, you ask Mother if you are so, if you are so, if you are so. Alright, but you have certain sense of judgment about it. That all of us should have. Of course, I mean, sometimes you have to do it, because especially in India, where they worship all this Shiva and this, and then you have to ask for them. To ask, I am not Shiva. But there they readily accept, and I ask, because they know that Shakti is higher than anything else. So they don't mind. But here, the woman herself is very low.
Yes.
And then all gods and goddesses are much above. And who is she? So here, because the ego is just in front of the nose like that, you see. It's better to be careful. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes you have to say. But I'm rather worried, because apart from that, you may lose that. Even you may lose your tooth. It may happen. For saying like that, you see. People are extremely violent, and their violence may not be so much physical, but mentally they are very violent, and they say all kinds of things which you may not be able to bear.
What I'm saying, Mother, you have to ask Shri Hanuman and Shri Bhairava to do the job, rather than trying to think one can do it oneself.
You yourself have to.
We have to,
Alright.
yes. As
But
such,
you need not tell the other person.
you don't tell the other person anything about it, but you ask the deities to handle the situation so that they get sorted out.
They manage the show, but they can sometimes manage the show. You see, their own.
They have their own ways.
Like in the case of Peggy, you should scream the devil's face. How it was managed so well? You see, she was so stupid, you can't imagine. And she just started talking like that. But it's all managed, I agree. But sometimes they also manage it so well. And you feel, Baba, now don't manage it. Let us do it. On the whole, we must know that our job is to sing with patience, with understanding. Whether we convince them mentally or not is not the point. How many people we save is the point. This is absolutely the essence of Sahaja. How many people on this earth we save? That's the only thing we have to look at. Whether mentally you satisfy somebody or not, whether that's not important. See, how many people you are going to save? That's all. Whether they are Indians, Americans, Australians, makes no difference. These identifications are also there. You see that English must save English. While they drown each other very well. But still it is so. Australians must save Australians. Blue forming comes in, as Maria said, it's true. French. But it is not about it. What we have to do, how many human beings we are going to save. And don't get after anyone who is difficult. Forget it. We have to get more people. So if you run after one person who is difficult, you waste your energy on one person. Instead of that, why not get to 10 good people, simple people, and work it out? Alright? Now, what about you? Have you any question? Right?
Earlier on, Mother, you were talking about not wasting energy on people who are, or people who've been in Sahaja Yoga for some time but were half-baked and so on. What is the criteria? How are judgments made? How does one or a group of people decide that an individual should be left alone or encouraged out?
No, there's no need to have a group of people. You can know. You see the way they start talking. When they talk, you think somebody's talking to their rat. You can make up. I mean, you can make up with your rat, you can't make. You see, they start talking. Their style of talking, they criticize Sir Devi, they criticize Sahaja Yoga. This is the style of negative people. They do all these things, you see. Then you know. Yeah, once. The style of talking, the way they gave, like this Peggy went to India in Pune, got after some man, and then she was crawling, as he says, in the hall, just like a snake, see? And people asked, what are you? She said, I am giving exercise to my Kundalini. But now you know this stupid woman. You don't have show-offs in Sahaja Yoga. Quarreling people, all these are negative. To quarrel, to assert themselves too much. All this is negative. Insulting people, we are all negative people. It's not difficult to make up. Very simple. Among 100 people, there would be only one or two like at the most. See, in the whole of England, we found only 10 people in his 8-year style. That's the name shoots me off. Yes.
Now, what should we say to people who say that Sahaja Yogis are self-righteous and so on because we only seem to care about very few people?
Let them say, see, their certificate is not going to matter much to God. We are righteous people. We are righteous no doubt. And we are willing to save others who want to become righteous. No doubt about it. Why should we worry? You see, for the certificate of the people, we are not politicians. We are not seeking votes. We have to do the desire of God. We have to work for what God wants. In that case, you see, we have to, of course, with dignity, with compassion, with love, with affection, it will be done. No doubt about it. But all these qualities for what? For saving people. If by all these qualities you cannot save someone, better forget it. Whether they call you righteous or not, their certificate is of no use to us. Their certificate is like the certificate of the Pope. You see, when you are going to heaven, he gives you a certificate. Who cares? You see, God doesn't care for people who are not serving these. He doesn't care for their certificate, because they have to care about it. It's not important, but that doesn't mean we should be arrogant, we should be unkind. But with some people, you have to.
There is a point there, is that the question has been asked to me before, and about specific people saying, but there are people in Sahaja Yoga who are dogmatic and who use Sahaja Yoga as something to cling on, and those people being quite obvious. So something had to be said. I couldn't say that it's not true because it's quite obvious.
I don't think so.
So all you have to say, or all I could find to say in such cases, is that Sahaja Yogis are on their way to, they are progressing, but you can't expect us to be perfect
No, but
already.
who are they to judge surgeons? What I'm saying, why should you give them so much importance? Who are they to judge surgeons? They are not our own. You should not allow anybody to criticize surgeons. That's one thing as a principle of surgeons. I know there are some, little less, little more, alright. But nobody outsider can criticize surgeons in the presence of surgeons. They are realized, they are of our level. Those people who are not of our level cannot criticize. And we should never accept any this from anyone about any other surgeon. Among ourselves we can discuss. Not from the outside. After all, they are not realized. See, you must know you are realized. You are saints. Do you understand? A saint has to respect a saint. I have seen many surgeons are like that, who respect other people. Regis, for example, used to respect other people more than the surgeons. It's a very common thing about it. And Chaya was so surprised at it. She said, how do you respect others? He said, oh, he is such a big man. I said, really? But in the eyes of God, so much relaxed. She couldn't understand it. She couldn't explain it. We are all saints. And how can saints be judged by other people who are not saints? They have no business. You tell them you shut up. So I never allow that. Because they are your realized souls, after all, you must know you are realized souls, and that your capacity is very different from the capacity of these people, mundane people, who go on criticizing, he's like this, he's like that. How can you understand? How can you understand from that level? If you go and see, say, Gagangar Maharaj, you might say he's a very hot-tempered fellow, he's like this, he's like that, and he can be very cruel. You can say about him. But when you see his vibrations, you know he's not. When I was going to see him, they told me that mother, you never go and see any guru, I don't want to see him. I said, alright, now you don't discuss with me, just put your hands towards me. We had to climb about 7 miles up. And the vibration started coming. I said, now that's it. Whether he has a proper body or not, whether he has proper clothes or not, whether he lives in a palace or on the street, makes no difference to a surgeon. If he's a surgeon, he's a surgeon. He is my brother, he is my sister. This is the thing which one must have. You see, and this misidentification also leads to trouble. And you see, the outside people who are not surgeons make up for it. I have seen people. I know, because I have a double life, I know how people create an impression. Oh, please come in, please sit down. Oh, don't disturb. Please do that. That's all. It is nothing deeper than that. But those who are deep people must realize the value of other deep people. Because they are the only ones who understand you and you understand. This is one of the reasons why there are rifts among surgeons. They don't respect each other. Once somebody is a realized soul, he is to be respected as a saint, no doubt about it. I respect them as a saint. If I have to judge relatively from me to say, for example, should I be sitting here, I should be sitting there, perhaps maybe outside. But you are saints, you see, and saints are to be respected. You are saints. The whole world respects every flower, every leaf, every wave of ocean respects a saint. You must assume yourself as saints. Saints are saints, after all, it doesn't matter a little bit here and there. Yes, what is it?
Well, what's the situation within the ashrams, Mother? I mean, if we have people living there who frankly just aren't getting it together, and they're not improving themselves, some of them so far to the left they're never going to come up, what do we do with them? Should the ashrams fulfill a dual role? One as a sort of...
No, it's not a convenience. Why must I say it's not a convenience? Ashram is a place for disciplining yourself, for perfecting yourself. As I said, that your relation to yourself should be of perfection. And this is what you have to offer to God. And ashram is a place when you have to perfect yourself. If there are people like that, you should ask them to get up. Ashram is not a place where absolutely you should ask them. It's not a place of convenience. If you have to live there, you have to live with the rules and regulations, whatever the ashram has formed so far. I have seen all of that. And those who do not want to do it should get out.
Thank you, Mother.
Ashram is not a place of any convenience. Many people think very cheap, ashram. Come along. From everywhere they want to come down now and settle in ashram. That's not so. Ashram is cheap, but it's very difficult. Those who want to perfect themselves have to come to ashram. Those who do not want should not come. If they are so comfortable otherwise, it's alright. Don't make others a problem out of it. It's absolutely simple as that. In addition to that, one must know the person who is made in charge. He may be not up to the mark, whatever it is. But through him I can act. I cannot act through all of you. So you should not challenge the authority of the person who is appointed. If I find him useless, I'll throw him out. But you don't start every time like McEnroe does. Discipline is the point there. Perfecting yourself. See, the first thing I told you, your attitude should be towards yourself of perfection. Relationship should be ideal. Like a Sahajayogi with a Sahajayogi. What should be your relationship with Sahajayogi? He is you or kith and kin, he is your own. How can you bear any malice against you?
It should be self-discipline, Bob.
Huh?
It should be self-discipline also.
What's it?
It shouldn't be an imposed discipline. Within the ashram, it should be, each individual should be self-disciplined.
If that is the case, come in then. But if you leave it to that, I tell you, first it is to be forced.
What we've found in Australia, Mother, is perhaps maybe not an example that can be translated into Britain, but we found that by being strict at first, then the strictness recedes and they become self-disciplined as a
There's
result.
a very nice shloka in Sanskrit which I'll say to you. Panchavarshani tajit, Dashavarshani patet, Shodashe varshe praptetu putram pravadati. For 5 years of age, beat the child. Tajit, chiseling out. That is ashram. Dashavarshatu patet, then educate for till 10 years of age. Shodashe varshe praptetu, when the child becomes 16 years of age, treat him like a friend. Now only 8 years have passed in this country. And there are many whom I am treating just like a friend. I have never a problem with many of them. And all of you should be like that. But in the beginning you do need discipline, no doubt. That's the only way you can drive out your groups, I tell you. It has to be forced. Of course, the time will come when it won't be forced. You see. As I would say, first communism, then democracy. Otherwise, we'll all go mad. If you do democracy, people don't know how to use people. Oh, that's important. Yes, please.
Well, how shall we bring up the children who are born to us, Sahaja Yogis? For example, shall we get them to meditate in the morning? Shall we be forced that they do it? Or shall we just let them?
Well, with regard to the practices within Sahaja Yoga, what should we as parents do for our children who are born of Sahaja Yogis? In practical ways.
They are born as realized souls.
Yes, mother.
You see, those are born as realized souls. They have the awareness, no doubt. So they should be taught how to respect Sahaja Yoga, how to respect yoga, how to dedicate. But you should not spoil them. Because if they are realized souls, they may try to get away with things which they should not get away. In the beginning, a Sahajayoga child has to be very well disciplined. It's very important. It's more important for a Sahajayoga child than for an ordinary child. Because he has powers. That's how Ravana became Ravana. He was a realized soul. But he was not trained to be a realized soul, and he became Ravana. Because the ego still lingers on in him. So you must train them up, you must discipline them in a way that is Sahajayoga style. It's very important, it's a very big responsibility. But respect them. And thirdly, I would say that always tell children what they are. You are Sahajogis. You have come on this earth for such a great work. You can't behave like other children. You are the citizens of God's kingdom. You are His children. Remind, put them up, their ideas before them. How can you behave? You are a Sahajayogi.
Mother, shall we also, for example, meditation in the morning, shall we insist that they do it?
Insist on?
That they do meditation in the morning?
Yes. When you start doing, they'll do with you. But very important, like I've seen children in the West are very oriented. Even they are realized still. You must, I was telling Gavi, that you must give them a balance. Put them left to the right. This country breathes. See? All these Western countries breathe of yoga, this is what you call ego. So best thing is to give them a balance so that they don't develop their egos. You can work everything on them. Very important there you are trustees. They are beautiful things, beautiful lamps, but you have to look after them, that no dirt should fall on them. They should not become dirty again because I have to cleanse them again and again. What's the use? Discipline is very important. They like it. Now my granddaughters have seen. Of course my disciplining is rather subtle, but it doesn't matter. Even their own mother, they would not go out without telling. Anyway, even if they have to go to the room that is upper, they'll say the mother, tell the mother, I'm going. Of course it's family tradition and all. And there are many people who come from families where there's no tradition like that. I find they behave in a very arbitrary manner. They might be born realized. What's the use? And as Sahajogis, it is your duty that your parents think that you started a new dynasty now. And these are your children. And they have to be trained as people of a new dynasty. It doesn't look nice for realized souls to behave like very ordinary, mundane type. There should be certain dignity, there should be certain understanding. And quarreling and all this selfishness, this must go away. Materialism, materialistic attitude. Every time you can remind them you are a servant. Put their attention more to the vibration side, more to the realization side, asking them what is catching where. They change. You have to talk to them. Moral ideas, about moral things, you have to talk to them. Your own behavior should be ideal. But also you have to talk to them and tell them that this is not good. As it is being realized, they are very happy. I'd say Kevin was a realized soul, but in between he was influenced by the grandmother, so there was a problem with it. But then it came down, isn't it, right?
Yes,
so much change now.
He improved tremendously when we did start disciplining him. When we started telling him to come to meditate with us in the morning, he improved a lot. But before that, we were leaving him to see what would happen, but it didn't work at all.
That's only here they do like this. I think it's avoiding the responsibility. In childhood, you must tell children what you want to say. what you want to do. You must be trained. Because you see, after all, who is going to guide? Guidance is very important. It's not conditioning. I must say our children are very obedient, whether they are realized or not. I think. Tell them sit, they sit. And be very oriented. You can see the children how it's going to be.
And Indian children have such a natural poise, a natural respect.
You never feel them anyway. See, if you tell them sit down, rest. If you tell them I want this, they'll go and get it. See now, just now she brought this flower to your friend.
They're so graciously.
Touch my feet and now go. But our upbringing never ends. You see, even if they're grown up, we tell people it's not good, this should not be done. And nobody feels bad, although already we feel we are parents, I want somebody to balance. But here the parents also have gone amok, I must say. Because of this war maybe. Like Pat's father used to drink. And the mother said, what's wrong in drinking? Like once Saradha asked me that thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Good. Take out here. Parents are funny here, that's why. It's confusion. And that's how the people don't understand that we have more values, moral values than our parents have. It's all war and all that is upset. But let's re-establish a new dynasty, as I said. Yes, please. Yes, Tom?
Mother, I'm asking this question on behalf of some of my friends. What hope is there for Sahaja Yogis who are married, whose partners are not seekers?
Who are married?
But whose partners are not seekers.
I mean, it's the same lot. You see, your relationship with God is individual. It's absolutely individual. Whether it is your partner, your father, mother, brother, son, everything, that's nothing. Your relationship with your God is absolutely individual. And because you are connected with God, you get collectively conscious, and that's how these are all your relationships. For a person like that, what is the future? You might get a realized soul, that's all I can say. If the father is a realized soul or the mother is a realized soul, definitely, I'm sure that will be a realized soul. Out of at least 3 children, there could be one who is definitely a realized soul. Could be all. That's the thing I can say.
I think he's speaking of husband and wife case where a partner is disinterested and just not a seeker, but where the case of one person is very strong in his seeking. They say the wife may not be interested in Sahaja Yoga, but the man is.
Okay. What can we do? forget. I mean, Sahajayoga is something beyond, something in us. It's an outside relationship with anyone, your wife or anyone. If she's a Sahajayogi, it will be, of course, much more enjoyable and comfortable. It may not be so much enjoyable, but what to do? You have to live with so many things these days, isn't it? Of course, as far as the bodily lives are concerned, that they may have. Yeah. What is the future of Sahajayogis?
Limitless.
Oh, you have no future. You have no past, you have no time. What is the future of eternal being? You are gone beyond. You are just there, doing God's work, employed by God. All unemployed are really there because they are to be employed by God. Are you telling this story? The gentleman who interviewed me on the television, no, on the radio, he was very angry with Mrs. Thatcher and things like that. And he was saying that what's going to happen now? Tell me in Sahajayoga, how are you going to look after the unemployed? I said, I can give them employment. What's employment? Now forget this employment. They have been employed by human beings now, let God employ. But they'll have no time at all even to think they are unemployed. Alright? This is what it is. So we solve unemployment problem. He was amazed. I told him that once you get your realization, you get employment immediately. After all science and everything they have done, just to give us time. Time for what? Why this time has come to us? Just for meditation, for our ascent, for God's employment. And it's available to everyone. He said, how can you give employment to everyone? I said, to everyone. Anybody who comes to us, we give them employment. Because according to him, money does not matter. People are not anxious to get money, but they feel very depressed because they have so much time, they don't know what to do. Yes, I said, they are very busy people. Sahajayogis are very busy, aren't they? They have no time. Alright, you sit. You have to sit there. I think we have covered quite a lot of ground about our questioning. Also, we can have the same repeat tomorrow sometime. So think it over. If you are not even thoughtless of it. I'm not sure of that. No. I would say that now for a while I'll go and we can have our dinner what time?
6:30.
6:30?
First helping is at 6.
6, 7. And second helping?
20 minutes later. Half an hour.
Alright, so about 8 o'clock we'll again meet. Would that be alright?
Yes. Thank you very much.
May God bless you.